the electrical inspector came by, and good news and bad news. We passed and we failed on a couple of items. Really interesting situation though. All our workmanship is up to snuff. There's nothing wrong with any of the work that I did. It's all fine. It's exactly what he wanted to see. Where I got caught though was very interesting. They made a couple of changes to the code. And I wasn't aware of these changes to the code. So I have to do a little bit of work to change a couple of things here. I had run a wire from one of my sockets to an outdoor socket because I wanted to have an outlet for my barbecue rotisserie. Well, not allowed to do that. All the outdoor sockets have to be on their own circuit. So we discussed the matter, and what we're going to do there is I'm going to just simply I already have some outdoor sockets on another circuit. So what I'm simply going to do is I'm just going to cut into that wire and put a junction box there, and then from that junction box I'll run a new wire back to my outdoor outlet, and that'll solve that problem. That one's easy enough. The other thing that caught me though was apparently the first of the year they changed the code, and now all interior circuits inside your house require arc fault protection. That presents a problem. Not only are the breakers for this tremendously expensive, that's not the problem though. The problem is physical space. I have an older model of breaker box, and unfortunately the breakers that I need for this little venture here, they each take up 2 slots in my panel. Which would be okay if I had 2 slots in my panel, except I'm running 2 new circuits, and the only spots I have available are already being taken up by 2 single breakers. So I'm left with a certain situation here, whereas I have one circuit breaker space, but 2 circuits. So I'm not sure what we're going to be able to do there. The other issue is, since the rule of thumb is that if you've got old wiring in your house, you're basically your grandfather because you're under the old code. But the moment you touch a circuit, you have to bring the entire circuit up to the current code. So by cutting into my outside line to run this new circuit to my rotisserie, I'm modifying the circuit, and it has to be brought up to code as well, the whole circuit. So this involves not only a arc fault protected breaker, but because it's an outdoor circuit and they're at ground level, all my outlets are at waist height type thing, they have to be GFI'd as well. Well, I've got a problem in that because it's an old breaker system, they simply do not manufacture a combination arc fault GFI that can be used with this. Now, of course, having a GFI protector after a arc fault breaker doesn't work all that well, because the electronics tend not to work together. Because I don't know how the circuits work with electronically, but they cause some kind of confusion. You just can't GFI a GFI or put a GFI plug after an arc fault breaker, because what happens is it just consistently one trips the other, and you just have problems with it. It's the same thing with trying to double GFI. I had to put one breaker or one outlet outside that's not GFI, and I didn't bother to tell them about it because I have tools that have their own GFI, and if you plug a GFI into a GFI plug, it'll just backfire on you. The thing just won't work. It'll just constantly trip, and every time you power the tool up or down, you'll be popping the breaker, one or the other, because they just don't like to play together. It's just, so the only solution to the outdoor plug is to get a combination arc fault / GFI. And I checked with the manufacturer of my panel, and because it's an older panel, it's not available and is not going to be available, the breaker that I need. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. I may be forced into a situation where I'm forced to be non-compliant to code. The frustrating part of this is, if I would have got to and completed this project last year, everything would have been hunky-dory because I was code at the time. But because they changed the code, everything now has to be built in the new code. So I'm going to talk with the inspector about this, because it may not be possible to meet code. Simply because of these restrictions on equipment availability. Depends what kind of person you get for an inspector. Most inspectors are pretty reasonable in situations like this. Like I said, if I would have built this project last year, it'd be hunky-dory, and I'd be grandfathered right now. But because I'm doing it now, just right after a code change, it presents a bit of a problem. So, especially when equipment's not available. So, most inspectors you'll find, though, are pretty reasonable when it comes to situations like this. They'll allow you to be non-compliant. They have to note it in their report. Obviously, they have to protect their butt, because if something ever does happen down the road, well then it's in the report that it was noted and you didn't comply. But realistically, most of them are pretty reasonable, and they understand. You'll get the odd guy that says, well, yeah, you have to solve it anyways, and you have to go to extreme lengths, like putting in a sub panel or some crazy thing like that. But I'm going to have to talk to an electrician now, and talk to the inspector again here when we do the final, and just see what we can do to resolve this whole thing. Probably, I suspect what's going to happen, though, is we're going to end up in a situation where I'm just simply going to have to be non-compliant, and it'll just go down in the report as such. Not much else you can do with it. It's I've done the best I can in the circumstance, and it is what it is. That's what happens when they change the rules of the game midstream. So, anyways, we're on to the next phase of our project, insulating. Have a good day.